Improving, Hampshire won for the second time in succession to vastly increase their chances of beating the drop as they sent Durham to their fourth successive home defeat in the LV County Championship. After the morning was lost to the weather, Durham began the third afternoon on 126 for 6 for a lead of 88, and only 8 more runs had been added to that when Ryan Pringle edged Gareth Berg behind. Hampshire were looking for the kill, and when Berg followed that up with the wicket of John Hastings' next ball, LBW the eventual decision, the visitors were very strongly placed. Berg was finding bags of swing, and this game would have been completed much earlier had he been able to hold on to this chance off his own bowling offered by Chris Rushworth. He had come in with his side on 134 for 8 and leading by only 96, and so every single run from here was going to be vital for both teams, but especially Hampshire, whose need to win this match, you could argue, was the greater. James Whale and Rushworth added 30 for the 9th wicket, but then the former on 20 was yorked by Fidel Edwards' first delivery. He, though, soon went off, nursing a hamstring problem, and his side will now be desperate for him to recover quickly. Another wicket now, and Hampshire would have been left with just 129 to win, but Graham Onions then smashed Berg for a bit, playing through the line and hitting the ball well. It was a last wicket stand in the corresponding fixture in July at the Ageas Bowl, which has turned Hampshire's fortunes around, but now they were being held up by one. Rushworth has had a quite incredible season with the ball, but his batting has also improved noticeably. Here he also went after Berg, these two shots both carrying the distance, as 36 runs were rapidly put on for the 10th wicket, taking the total up to 200. Debutant Ryan Stevenson's runs on the previous day had been crucial, and he now bagged his maiden first-class wicket by having Onions caught by Jimmy Adams for 15, leaving Rushworth unbeaten on 33. All out for 200, Hampshire were left with a target of 163. A small one perhaps, but given the importance of winning here, it may have seemed like a mountain to climb for the visiting team. Michael Carberry decided that the best approach, given what was ahead, was to play some shots, and he dominated an opening stand of 35. Adams, on the other hand, didn't play a shot in anger in his 44-minute stay, which had brought him just 3 runs when he let a ball from Rushworth crash straight into his stumps. Rushworth also initially gave James Vince some problems, and he had some luck against both opening bowlers who delivered very long spells. But as the bowlers tired, Vince began to take advantage, and along with Carberry, he helped the total up to 75 to leave just 88 more runs to get. When Carberry on 39 mistimed a pull shot off Onions, now into his 10th over, and was very well held by the running Michael Richardson, who caught the ball in breezy conditions after completing a 25-yard dash. Onions struck again in his next over too, Will Smith offering Richardson a regulation catch this time, which would have had those in the visiting dressing room feeling a little nervous. But neither Onions nor Rushworth could keep going, and with them out of the attack, Vince picked up the pace of the innings, determined to get the job done before the end of this day. If he could lead his side to what would be a great escape, he will have had a very satisfactory summer. He hasn't really been at his best with the bat this year, but this driven 4, his 11th boundary, now took him to a fine 50 of only 54 balls. It was just the kind of innings required by his team, who had now moved to within just 40 runs of the winning line. Hampshire then raced to their target, playing as if this was a one-day game. Vince hardly bothered with any running between the wickets, scoring all but a dozen of his 76 runs in boundaries alone. Indeed, the last 64 runs needed were struck off only 6.5 overs, Liam Dawson backing up his captain well by pulling the returning Rushworth for a 6. With the match just about done and dusted, part-timer Mark Stoneman was given the ball, and that helped Dawson get to 34 before the game was concluded. That moment coming when Vince struck Whale for back-to-back boundaries to end on a 76 made off only 65 deliveries. Hampshire had done it, a victory which at last saw them off the foot of the table, ahead of a huge game against a side just ahead of them in the form of Somerset. Hampshire took this contest by 7 wickets with a day to spare, and they claimed 21 points to see them stay in the bottom two, but now just 5 points behind Somerset, who they play next in Taunton. Durham are looking like a team who now can't wait for the season to end after slipping to a 7th defeat overall, for which they earned 4 points.